and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with Shahzad Khan and Maha Makhdoom. Assalamu alaikum, Shahzad. How are you today?
Walaikum Assalam, I'm absolutely perfect, but Maha, I just do not like it.
Why?
Because every time if I open the show, I come up with words, very intelligent, very wise,
Yes.
very pretty and whatnot.
Yes.
And with me, you're like, oh, okay, I'm
Shahzad.
Maha Makhdoom, and with me, I have Shahzad Khan. Wow, yeah,
Okay,
this is not fair.
No, that's absolutely
Okay,
true.
let's do it
actually.
again then.
No, I don't want to do it again because what happened was that because there's so much, I've got so much information in my head, I was actually caught off guard. Although we had planned that I would open up the show today, I still, sometimes with live television, you're just not ready.
But this is what the beauty is, and I
Exactly.
think this is one of those things which actually brings about a smile on all of those people's face who are actually out there and are viewing us.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing I thought, I was like, let's keep it simple today. Let's try it. Let's just try and do a normal introduction.
Yeah, that's
But it
good.
didn't. You're right. It didn't feel. It had the right vibe in the start to the day.
No, but it's perfectly all right, and we hope
Excellent.
that everybody out there is doing perfect. They're
Yes.
doing great. It's time to rise and shine, wake and bake, get up, and be more focused about whatever you want to achieve in your life.
Absolutely. But today we have a wonderful show lined up for you. We have lots of information to share and a really wonderful discussion lined up ahead as
I
well.
just don't know why, but on such topics, I think that I'm actually a bit left out as well.
No, you're absolutely
but
not.
today I certainly want
Such
you
a
to lead. Sorry, but today I certainly want you to lead the show as well.
Okay, well, whenever he says that, you know that he will be doing all the questioning and the counter questioning. But no, but seriously, it is a very important topic, and it is something that I feel like we need to keep discussing it until there's nothing left to discuss. And when we have corrected the situation, then we'll stop having these discussions.
But
And Shahzad, no,
yeah.
but the thing is, you say that you feel left out, but I feel like you are in the perfect stance to kind of have an input on it because you are in the opposite gender who has a different kind of approach and experience in
And I
life.
definitely try that too as well. But quite a lot of times you've discussed about this topic or even on the show. And I think approximately about 10, 15 times that we have done a show about this.
At
And,
least.
and this is what I exactly wanted, that when are we actually going to realize that, okay, it is happening.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. So, but let's start with this show and let's start with the top stories.
Coming up, good morning. First up, the 8th Beijing International Film Festival kicked off in the Chinese capital Beijing. The film festival's opening ceremony was held in the Beijing Jiangxi Lake International Convention and Exhibition Center, with over 230 Chinese and international stars and filmmakers walked the red carpet.
Excellent.
Wow. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but all of them look the same to me.
The first ever Kabaddi League in Pakistan will be held from May 2nd to May 10th at Lahore. Apart from known national names, players from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Iraq, Kenya, Japan, and Iran will also participate. Wonderful. Wow. Excellent. I'm so glad it's getting recognized for what it should be.
I can, I think, also participate. But other than that, people, please make sure to take an umbrella once leaving your houses, because intermittent rain continues in upper parts of country, including Rawalpindi, Islamabad, as Met Office predicts more rain till Friday. Whoa, that's cool.
It's really wonderful. I'm really enjoying the rain. It's really
Well,
taking the edge off.
rain for a day or two is fine, but other than that, it's just a hassle because, my mother keeps on yelling, oh, you again came in with the dirty sleepers, so I just cannot. I don't know. I have never ever grown up this feeling that, okay, even if I'm wearing sleepers, even if I went out in the puddle or even if it was raining, I just walked in straight. And every time my mother's like, what do you want us
that's
to do with you?
selfish. Just take off your shoes, man. It's not
I
that
just
difficult.
don't remember that.
Okay, well then that's why you keep getting into
Sorry, Ma.
trouble. Anyway, but with that, do enjoy the rain. Please do drive safely as well, because I know it is beautiful weather and it's exciting times.
Yes.
However, you need to be safe.
Exactly. But other than that, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, there's a very important day as well, and we want to spread awareness about that.
Absolutely.
Today is Hemophilia Day.
Yes.
And talking about hemophilia, that quite a lot of people, I mean, for example, us, we're fortunate enough that, for example, if we're helping our mothers or wives in the kitchen, and if God forbid, while cutting tomatoes, we cut our finger, or probably we just fall somewhere, we might have a bruise, but we might not even think about that. We just put a disinfectant and we'll just move on with our lives. But then there are other people who actually suffer this disease, which is genetic and it is hereditary as well. And back in the 10th century, it was actually known as abelcacus, and people used to bleed to death, and the people, because there weren't any research facilities back then. So what happened was that people used to, or doctors used to give them aspirin, which used to make their blood thin, and they used to just die. But then, after that, there was Doctor. I don't
I do
actually
recall
remember
it.
the name, but it was whatever the name was. But he realized that this is a fatal disease, and he started working on that. It's still till time, I don't know whether it's curable or not, but there can be things which can be done to just prolong with the same disease.
Exactly. So today is all about the awareness of the treatment and how to manage the illness as well. Let's go take a look at a report which will give you more of the science behind it and actually what the whole topic is. And then when you come back, we will start the other conversation of our show.
Let's do it.
So, what is hemophilia? Hemophilia is a bleeding disorder, a problem with a person's blood that makes them bleed longer than a person without hemophilia. No one can catch hemophilia. It's an inherited condition you have from birth, for your whole life. It's just part of who you are, like the color of your hair or the shape of your nose. Here's how it works. Your blood travels through your body in tubes called arteries, veins, and capillaries. Normally, when there's a tear or hole in one of these, bleeding starts, and different parts of the blood go to work to plug the hole. Blood cells called platelets gather at the opening, and other blood parts called clotting factors help hold the platelets together to form a clot that stops the bleeding. When a person has hemophilia, he doesn't have enough of one of those clotting factors he needs to form a clot, and he keeps bleeding longer than he should. Each person with hemophilia is missing one of two kinds of factors. If you're missing factor 8, you have hemophilia A. If you're missing factor 9, you have hemophilia B. Either one can be mild, moderate, or severe. Without regular treatment, having hemophilia means you'll bleed longer than you should if you get cut. But you don't have to have a cut to have a bleed. Sometimes, especially when you're active, the tiny capillaries inside a person's body will bleed, causing a bruise or pain in the joints. Not dealing with those kinds of bleeds can cause a lot of problems later, including arthritis at a young age. But the good news is, there are good treatments available that can help you manage hemophilia effectively. Treatments that replace the missing factor help your blood clot more like a person who doesn't have hemophilia. These treatments, when used properly, help you keep your bleeding under control so you can live a long, healthy life and follow your dreams without hemophilia ever. So,
Okay, so that was some information about hemophilia, and it is actually very normal. And that's the thing, there's so much information and research out there, you kind of almost skim past the aspect that so many people are living with it. And that's the whole point of today. It's to see what treatments and what kind of medicines are out there.
And I, unfortunately, just went through my cell phone to remember the name of the doctor too as well. It was Dr. J. Otto from Philadelphia, who actually researched on this particular disease back in 1803. And, thanks to all of those people who are making our worlds better.
Exactly. So that is something that we need to be aware about. But moving on, we have a wonderful show lined up for you today.
So to get started with that, ladies and gentlemen, as we earlier mentioned that we have discussed about this topic 10 or 15 times even on the show. At least. And we certainly pay quite a lot of importance to this one. So today we are talking about women empowerment, and we talk about it quite a lot. The last time there was a lady who actually said that, for women empowerment, we need men to stand up. Now, my stance on this is that, what kind of empowerment it is going to be if you're going to ask or seek for help from other people. You have to do it yourself.
Okay, exactly. And that's not exactly, see, this is where we also like to give a whole approach to it, because that's
Because I
one
certainly
angle
do
of
not
it.
want to be an scapegoat. This is
Well,
just
you're
one
saying
of the
things that are gonna
dimensions
make
of
you
the
want-
conversation
Exactly.
which I want to ask.
Exactly. So that's one aspect of it, is that, is it asking for help? What does that even mean? Do men not ask for help? And it's about this whole approach to it, like getting equality. I think people have a really kind of misconception about it. So to discuss the role of women in society, to see what roles they should be fulfilling, if there should be any kind of exact, kind of definition
So I'll
of
be
what
on
they
the
do.
other side of the picture while
Yes.
Ma's going to lead us.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
So let's introduce to our wonderful guest to get this conversation started. We have been joined by Sabine Hussain Malik. She is a human rights activist for Peace and Culture Organization. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Besides Sabine, we've been joined by former Assistant Professor Asma Kadir. She is a human rights and social activist. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Besides former Assistant Professor Asma Kadir, we've been joined by Ms. Amna Khan. She is a mental health counselor. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for listening to us babble on while we're introducing the show. But I'll actually let you start the first question.
Okay, I want to get started. So now, I'm going to start from the point where Maha initially at the start of the show said that, there's going to be a time when we are going to know that, okay, enough is being done and our women are empowered. What is that time? What kind of feeling are we going to get? How do you think the society is going to behave when women will be empowered?
I feel that in Pakistan, the woman of 2018 is quite empowered. And I see women in all walks of life, and very positive. There's a very positive change, and I think it's because we have very supportive men and family structure. Because if a woman has to play a major role, she definitely needs a lot of family support. In fact, any individual, be it a man or a woman.
Okay.
And in my opinion, men and women have to complement each other. And instead of just having a feminist battle all the time, we need to work together.
Absolutely. Okay, but now there's 2 points before we get onto the line of questioning that we have prepped for the show. But before we move on to that, I want to ask Ms. Asma, we've used 2 very important words, how women should behave and empowerment. What do we actually mean by these words? And, should it even be in the conversation when we're talking about women and men walking side by side?
The way I have observed the empowerment in Pakistan and everywhere, I think we have confused the term.
Right.
And that is because I'm from, but my culture, I learned from my culture, the respect that I understood, and that is from, tell you the truth is that I learned the women empowerment respect from Quran. Okay, my parents were the word, if you want to be the fruitful citizen and a fruitful kind of a human being, then you have to understand your role, what nature has given you.
Right.
So the nature means that from Quran I learned the women in Islam has given such a highest place that I think we missed it. We did not understand. And the biggest and the most respectful role is given to her as a mother. And they have also, with that, like as a mother, I'm a role model for my daughter. I'm a role model for my son. And the way I'm going to lead myself in front of them, that's how that's how I'll be grooming them. If I'll present myself a kind of confused mother who is absolutely not aware how to send them in a ring, right? For example, my children, as a woman, I'm supposed to be around the fighting ring and telling them how to fight, how to be skilled, so you can be a successful person,
Okay.
right? And with the same, the teachers have also the roles in this country,
Absolutely.
which I found that teachers have missed. They did not provide kind of wonderful environment to the learners that still we miss seeing wonderful people around us.
And we will talk about who is, who should be telling us what, who plays these roles of mentorship, etc. But I want to ask the same question to Amna as well, because, you're from a psychological point of view, you're approaching it. So, when we're talking about this empowerment, it's almost a buzzword now. And I think people also close, like, they have a smirk on their face, or, we're kind of like, oh gosh, not again.
So let's see.
What's happening
What's your
out there?
take on this?
Yeah, well, as you said, it is a buzzword, and
Yeah.
it's very quite, out there. People are using it quite a lot.
Yes.
But I also feel that in our society, I think the question that you just asked, was that a woman is, I think, always told how to behave. There's a, this is the way a girl should be. She's conditioned in a certain way. And throughout their life, they're kind of things that they are told that there is a way for a girl to behave. And I think from a very young age, we internalize whatever is told to us, and that becomes sort of our pattern. And that's what we follow, becomes our life script, as they say in psychology. So I think girls sort of relive that throughout their life, that there's a certain role and they feel they have to live that. So for them to break free from that becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And this whole empowerment thing, obviously that has to come, they need support for that. Girls need nurturing, and there needs to be opportunity and choices. And I don't know if, a lot of girls don't have that,
Okay.
they find that very difficult.
Yeah.
Choice is very important.
Okay, so now I'm going to take you back in time. For example, let's be in 1990s or 1980s where, we had problems like rape cases over here within Pakistan. Then other than that, women not being allowed to probably go to schools or to get education. Then other than getting married at a very younger age, not having to select or choose whatever careers they wanted to be in. But then certainly there were people who wanted to break all of these stereotypes, women like you who've actually made it, assistant professor, you know, consultant, whatnot. As a matter of fact, I think that it goes down to one's personality and the way they think about their own selves. So being capable of that, and then how do we balance within women empowerment and then gender equality? Because then if we talk about women empowerment, gender equality comes in too. So how do we treat all of these things?
For women, it's, I would say it's a double job. They have to make an extra effort to to prove themselves, and it's not easy. But then, as you said, it really boils down to your own personality also. If you are very self-driven and you are ambitious, then I think whatever obstacles you have, you will just go for it.
Yeah.
So you just have to be positive, and of course you have to be focused. And there are people who are very lucky to have supportive families, but then there are many who are not all that lucky or fortunate enough. But that does not mean that they have to, just lose their hopes. And I think you just have to just carry on and just
And then where does
carry on.
gender equality come in?
Gender equality is a very vague, it's a very vast term, I should say.
Not really vague though.
I
think
don't know,
it's the same
it's kind
thing,
of
isn't
weird
it?
because gender equality, it then actually makes women, I feel, a little inferior to men when we talk about gender equality. I
okay,
think
so you're saying.
I think the time when we stop having these women's days and we stop having all these special days allotted to women, why don't we have a men's day? Because men already have
All the days
rights.
to the Come on.
Yeah, you have all the
Don't
days.
say
When we
that.
stop,
Yeah,
when we
all the
stop doing
days.
all that,
Yeah.
I think that is when we will have gender equality.
Okay.
But for that, we need to fight.
Okay, I think actually I think that's an interesting question. We need to go for a break for me to kind of look it up as well. But when we say gender equality, I think maybe that brings in the biological aspect. I think that kind of then
It's not
negates-
biological. The way or the dimension with which I want an answer is that, okay, women empowerment, all of these days, whatever. And then what happens is that, okay, women and men, I just want them to be equal. That's it. This is what gender equality is.
Okay, so,
it's not that it makes somebody inferior or superior.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. Dear, in my experience in life, I think the both are very, very important, right? Girls and I would say daughters and sons are very, very important. If we're not going to educate our sons, no matter what you do with your daughters, you educate them, you provide them great environment. But if our sons will not respect women, what is the use of, saying women empowerment all around? So the best home will be the best, teacher and guiding kind of models will be the parents, all right? So it's what in my experience, my father was my guidance, all right? Daughters, women are made strong by the father. If the father is strong, if the father is very much present with the daughter, the love that she needs, the attention that she needs, the respect that she needs, if the father provides this, then I tell you that once the woman will walk, then she'll be dagger for every walking eyes.
Absolutely,
right?
that's a
okay.
very
This
good
is
point.
what my father used to say.
Okay, but that's the thing. But we keep saying when we talk about this whole bringing women on the same level as men and bringing them along with us in society. Everyone over here, we have a very, as Sabine's mentioned, that we have a family unit, very much involved within our lives. Now, the mother is given a lot of responsibility that she raises the kids. She's part of, she's the one, if she doesn't educate them, then, there's no hope. When the mother is lacking that up-to-date information, then how exactly is she going to teach that respect? That they should know that we should demand this respect, because a lot of the times, some people are lucky that they have their fathers who teach them this empowerment. Not everyone does. we've seen multiple cases of honor killings where the fathers are not able to stand up to the society or community. What would you say then?
Yeah, then we must have education system, schools, right, where we can train our parents with the principles and the values that our religion gives or that our culture gives, and the value or the connected with the nature. You cannot separate nature with the children. You have to attach both genders with the nature. And even I will say, whatever you do, you train, you open organizations for, but still, Beta Jan, actually the keys are parents.
Yes.
You have to educate parents. So today's girl and today's son is, if educated rightly, in wonderful environment, in wonderful schools, with wonderful teachers, with inspiring teachers, with inspiring curriculum, then definitely we're going to have. But if you're saying, if you want the current kind of scenario in the people and you want this generation to change, no, beta, it will not happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now moving forward, Ms. Amna, I'm moving on to you. Now, what happens is that I think, for example, if somebody's mother wasn't really empowered, she didn't get a chance to go to school, and she's married at a very younger age, and she's having kids, I think it's usually the mothers who do not let their daughters to be empowered. It is usually because this mindset prevails. And then the other thing which I wanted to talk about is, do you think that women in today's day and time and age understand their role as per in the light of Quran too?
Oh, that's a heavy question.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they've
think
missed
because
it.
we need to understand our roles
They
naturally.
confused it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
We'll
have
come to that in a
confused
minute.
it.
We'll come to that.
We're coming to that.
Well, understanding
Loaded
roles,
question, Shalom.
yeah, it is quite. I think I would sort of bring in a little bit of my
Sure.
angle. I think defining roles for women, I think it's
For both of the genders.
for both of the
Yeah.
genders. So you see, I feel it's not just in Pakistani culture. I think in a lot of cultures, the thing is that men and women, I think from the very beginning, there is always a bit of an inequality. No matter how much we contest it, it's a fact. Boys are treated differently by parents as opposed to girls. I think you tend to be more protective towards girls, and you have parents do have a different attitude towards daughters and sons. And men are taught to be strong, and you're strong, don't cry, don't do this. So that conditioning comes from a very young age. And girls are sort of, they have a very different kind of conditioning. So when they grow up, those roles are already set. They're already set in your mind. The empowerment bit, and obviously that
From your mother's side.
from the mother's side, when you say that again has to come, I mean, again, providing knowledge and education, I feel, is the first step.
Exactly.
Women have to be told, about these things. There's not much information provided, and parents do provide, as Professor was saying, that, a very important role. But I don't know if there's enough information out there for the women. Girls getting married at a young age, and then, you were saying that later on they
Even if the father wants their daughters to study or probably go outside or, go to another country to study, the mother is actually stopping the father. Don't do that.
don't do that, because that is, again, they are bringing that with them,
Yes.
and they feel that maybe if they go out, there's the protective element that comes in. But then again, there are some mothers, who don't, who want to. There's an opposite effect. If they don't get those opportunities, they want their daughters to get those opportunities. So it's really about providing that information and education to the parents as well, so that they encourage their daughters, who then become future mothers, and so on and so
And
on.
then understanding of our own roles
Okay,
in
so-
life.
So,
Yeah.
first, ma'am.
So how do we understand our roles, for example, as a son, as a father, as a mother, as a daughter-in-law, all of these things?
How to understand? I
Yes.
think it is what we have done is there was a time we understood. It was not implemented. It's still there. The laws and the principles, the roles, the responsibility, they are there, Betajan. But the point is that our people or our nation or our country is so much confused. They focus on Western policies, how they're doing it, and we don't need to have to be confused. We've got beautiful thing in front of us. That is Quran or whatever. It's not I'm talking about religion, but it is that very simple life. It is in your nature. What I tell you, that when I did not study anything like Quran, I was scared of study. But it was in my heart. It is in every human being. It is the answer of your problem, the answers of your issues in your mind. The mind is such a blessing. So the role, as far the moment you will in the domain of that role, you will understand. You have to allow a person. You have to allow your child to, and you have to believe in the child. You have to trust, and you have to only push, and you have to only support. Nothing, and they will automatically take their role and understand.
Okay.
You only have to respect them.
Exactly.
And
And
So
that's
the-
why sorry, I'm very sorry. That's why I just want to get rid of this misconception. I'm sorry that I always have to be an scapegoat
You love
on
it.
such topics, but it's because of the fact that I'm talking about all of those men I roam around with particularly. So
but
now
you-
they,
no,
they-
but listen,
so now they come up with this idea that okay, if you're talking about women empowerment or even if feminism, you know, so they're like, okay, why should we open the door for the ladies? Why
Oh
do
God,
they have?
this is so
Wha-
ridiculous.
okay, let me just make a point.
Yeah, no, I know, I know. I'm
Because
not
this
attacking
is what the major problems are. Okay, for example, why do we have to have reserved seats? Why do we
Okay.
have to actually, you know, have some reserved seats even in the buses? Ladies first.
tell you.
Why do we tell them to sit or stand? Why don't they do their own grocery? And then there was this campaign which went viral on Facebook too as well. You know, my body, my choice, and things like these. I think we need to understand our
Yeah,
roles
our roles.
as men and women, and only then
our
we can
culture.
survive as a
Yeah, our
society.
Okay,
culture
I
and
do
our
want to add
religion.
to this point, but Sabine, we'll start with you. When you know people are making this argument, this is what we said in the beginning of the conversation, that people have a like interpretation of what it actually means
Yes.
when women are talking about becoming empowered or being equal to men.
And
What
I
is your
think
take on
it's
this?
because of not understanding our roles.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And as Madam Professor was saying, that yes, we can take a lot of guidance from our Holy Quran. It is a complete code of life, and it states Islam has given women rights where women were never given rights before in the world. And this was like hundreds of years back. It's just that we have not paid any attention to the rights that we as women have been given. And there is absolutely no confusion in that. It's a very simple code of life. So when we as women and men, we learn to respect each other and learn our roles, everything
That's
will
it.
just
Thank
be
you very
fine.
much. That's
Okay.
beautiful.